Okay, where we got to go. We're waiting for this. We're not waiting for it. We got stuff to do. Berth refitting. Building berths into the vast bulkheads of the Pilgrim Seed is a huge job, and so needs every able-bodied engineer to help. Supply hauling. The evacuees need many supplies for the trip to the Starworld Belt, and they have to be hauled abroad in only a few cycles. So it's basically saying, what do I want to lose? Energy. Let's do this one. You work in sync with the other team, splitting the job so that by the time you are done, there are tens of new berths in place. Let's do this one again. Random scrap 2. That's what I'm talking about. As you stop to rest in one of the Pilgrim Seed's cavernous bays, hopping up to sit on a supply crate, you hear a now familiar voice behind you. Sleeper, glad you are here. Soul's suit hisses as he clanks up towards you. I knew you'd help us out. We sure do appreciate everything you do for us. Building up to something? Soul shoots you a sideways look. See, that's what I like about you, Sleeper. Straight to the point, no messing. He smiles a sly smile. Soul settles beside you, flinching a little, but making himself comfortable on the crate. Seems the word got out, this way or that. He nods towards the welders a little way off, one of them wearing shipyard overalls. We've had people flowing in from the eye, looking for a place. In truth, it's more than I thought, Soul sighs, which means more mouths to feed, more bodies to house, more people to protect. Can we do it? Soul frowns. We'll do what we can, as always. I'm not sure any of it can be enough. He looks down. We were supposed to stay here, not keep running. Bro, you opened your doors to everyone. It was noble. Look how big the eye is compared to this place. Soul waves away the thought. Don't listen to me. He gives you a sideways glance. Just a tired old man. He stretches. I have something to ask though. I'm already helping. Oh no. What is it? What is it? With all these evacuees, well, we need a change in plan. He shrugs. Pilgrim Seed can't do it alone. We need others to help out. We can carry them, house them, but that's all. Now you settled down the folks from Ember Step, and they sent us supplies grown in those dust houses of theirs. If we could get more, he nods to himself. And then, the song crews. He rubs his chin. What we need from them is scouting and security. We don't need that docking access of theirs, but with some careful scavenging, they could be our fleet. These folks, they know you, Sleeper. You earned their trust already. He put a hand on your shoulder. I sent my requests out, and they seem to be compliant, but I need you out there making sure the work gets done. Time is our greatest enemy now, Soul stares into the distance. I need you out there speeding things up. Of course. You ask too much. Of course. So nods. Alright then. He climbs off the crate, his suit hissing as he does. Think of it this way. Either way, you won't have to deal with me much longer. He smiles his uneven smile. Unless, of course, you were planning to come along for the trip. I don't know. Cell winks. I'll leave it with you. Cell waves a hand and starts off towards the bay's entrance, the crackling sound of the welding quickly covering up his clanking suit. You watch the workers, the shipyard, the contractor chatting among them, already looking like he belongs. You push the thoughts of escape, of home, and of the future to the back of your mind and get up. There's always more to do. You better head to the other ships in the flotilla to see what can be done. I wanted to rest. Ember Step Refugee. I knew you'd come. Aki greets you outside the dust house, her eyes as bright as always. You are very welcome here, as always. Good to see you, Aki. Aki smiles. And you, Sleeper. Aki puts a hand on your arm. Walk with me, and she guides you past the dust houses. You look inside and see other members of the crew working in the orange dust, planting and tending to the steppe ecosystem. We are to be the supplies for the evacuees. I am sure you have heard. We will put the dust houses to use. She leads you past a dust house where the dust is less, the orange glow not as bright, the air a little more clean. We are adapting slowly, but we are adapting. We have to produce food, clothes, necessary things for the journey ahead. She smiles. The plants of steppe are once again sustaining a population, and that makes me proud. Aki stops at a half-empty dust house, scoured of its sand. It is being filled with mulch. We brought this from the Greenway. She stares at the green and brown, a strange sight even to you, now that you are used to the amber dust of steppe. I admit, it is hard work for us. We are not familiar with these plants. Can you help us? Aki meets your eye. I will do my best. Thank you, she nods solemnly. I know that the eye is suffering, that it is at risk. I know what that is like. It's okay. I wish I had a lesson to share with you from our loss on steppe. She shakes her head. But for the moment, I cannot see what that might be. She gathers herself. If it gives you meaning, the work here is steady and worthwhile. But if you do not have time, she smiles a weak smile. I will not blame you. Hold on to your memories, but not too tightly. She pauses. Sadness will not sustain you. She falls silent, and you both watch the work in the dust house for a while. You can already see a greening fringe of moss on the mulch in the dust house, the first signs of new life. Will you soon be like the people of steppe leaving behind a home? Or will you be stubborn and hold your ground despite what it might mean? You wait a little longer with Aki, the moment, a welcoming suspension in time. A rare moment in this rush towards an end. You glance at Aki, and she puts a hand on your shoulder in solidarity. After a short while, Aki sighs. It is good to see you, Sleeper. Perhaps we will see each other again before we depart. She walks away, fingertips brushing against the glass of the dust house windows. Aki turns back for a moment, as if she wants to say something, then thinks better of it, and turns away. It'll be cool if some of these windows start to turn green. Dun, dun, dun. docking access is in chaos when you arrive. The staccato burst of welding torches, the shouts of crews gathering, the rapid flow of supplies and kit from dock to dock. You can tell already that news of the flotilla's imminent departure has reached this place before you. Come to join the Exodus, sleeper? Peter approaches you from one of the working crews, a smile on his face and a lightness in his step you haven't seen before. What's happening? Peter gestures to the chaos. The singers are rising, sleeper. Peter eyes you. I suppose you are here on Sol's orders again. He winks at you. Nothing Ember's Hearth like to do more than ordering people around. I am here by choice. Fair enough. Just your timing seems to always be a cycle or two after we get some request from the Hearth ship. He shrugs, an exaggerated shrug. Must be a coincidence. Well, Sol has it lucky anyway. His request for us to dismantle the Axis and be the vanguard for the flotilla's onward journey to the Starward Belt aligns perfectly with our plans. What plans? To leave this damned place, of course. We've been prepping ever since the cordon collapsed. If we can build our escape and make the Hearth ships think we are complying with their orders at the same time, then it's a 2-in-1 for us. Peter shakes his head. Those idiots will never see it coming. You are leaving the flotilla? You can't abandon them, I said. We are our own flotilla, sleeper. Peter looks away at the busy Axis. We aren't going to tie ourselves too hard and step any longer. Why would we? Earth. Step. To help them, Peter scoffs. They are taking on evacuees from the Eye, that's what I heard. So how about they help themselves before they ask us to make up for their bad decisions? Peter looks down. Look, nothing against you or yours, sleeper, but we have to get out from under the shadow of Step and Hearth, and this is the time. Peter grimaces. We won't let the flux catch us again, not a chance, and for the first time you see fear in his eyes. Want to help us make that leap? Grab a torch, talk to a crew, you're welcome to it. Peter sniffs. Every person here is free to prove themselves. I'll help when I can. Peter nods. Just a stop on the road, sleeper. I'm afraid that's all this was. Peter glances out past the docking axis, through the outer windows to the stars beyond. A lot of space out there for those willing to take it. He looks you in the eye. I hope you'll be around before we go, but if not, he smiles. Stay strong. And with that, Peter thumbs you on the shoulder and heads back to his crew with a purpose, a direction visible in every step of his rapid stride. I do like him, but I don't think he is thinking clearly. But he's definitely not selfish. It just seems that way. Dun 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 dun. Big boy die. I think I'm getting some good dice and I know what I'm doing now. You don't want to help first. I feel like I want to help my guy over here first. Supply holding. The evacuees will need many supplies for the trip to the Starward Belt, and they have to be hauled aboard in only a few cycles. You hit a good rhythm, and soon the supplies are heading out to all corners of the Pilgrim Seed. This can work. Yeah. Let's continue. We're going to rinse this one. Random scrap. Look at that. The Pilgrim Seed will take the majority of the evacuees off the Eye, but is there enough time to settle them all? They just keep coming. Perhaps the Flux event scared enough people that they really believe the Eye will collapse. Perhaps they are sick of Havenage, of the Council's infighting, and the hardliners. Or perhaps they just want to take a chance at some new future, a place that is anywhere but here. Whatever it is, the evacuees don't stop. They come on the Flotita's shuttles, on their own ships, however they can. You've seen so many faces pass that they are almost meaningless now, a parade of features that seem both familiar and distant. You've been helping people, lifting bags, bringing in supplies, directing them to the berths you helped build. Some of them recoil from your touch, still unfamiliar with sleepers. Others treat you with pity, some with hate, snatching back their bags and storming off. Still, you help. Still, you carry boxes and bags. Nothing can stop you. You don't look for Sol. You know he is busy, just like you, trying to make this thing work, trying to fit as many people as will come onto the Pilgrim Seas. You know you will see him before all this is over. You keep working, but there's something in the back of your mind, something eating away at you. You try to push it to the back of your thoughts, but it keeps coming back. The Eye is over. That is the thought. That the Eye, even if the Flux doesn't get it, it's on its way out. How can it survive when these floods of people are leaving it behind? It's a thought that troubles you, because it makes you question why you have held on here so long, in a place that seems so temporary for so many people. Are you just a stubborn idiot, someone who didn't get the message? Or are you strong, committed, for lasting the storm, for seeing the collapse coming and facing it head on? Because there is something you are sure of now. This place, like all places, is temporary. And as each phase passes you, each family packs up and gets on board the Pilgrim Seed, it feels ever more temporary, ever more fragile, which means it either desperately needs protecting or it desperately needs to be left behind. The choice is yours. I think we should start Feng. I think we should try to save this place first. Oh man. A difficult man. Feng isn't in his bay, and no one in the offices upstairs seem to know where he is. Your long clue is an out to lunch note. Damn. The old let's go feed the cat. Start action. Da, 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 da. Good die. Not bad. Not amazing though. I need to go to Memphis. Alright, time to find this guy. You dig around Feng's bay and find some notes that mention the Flux. What is he working on? No! That's it. No more wasting time. Peak sighs and pulls out their slate. They crack open a box on the side of the base shutter and wire the slate to what's inside. Maybe your friend has a Havenage passcard or something inside. Peak shoots you a glance, something they wouldn't mind if we borrow. Fine, but be quick. Peak nods without looking up. I'm going as quick as I can. After a few tense moments, the shutter jerks and begins grinding open, the noise making you jump. Let's get inside. Peak glances around. Quickly. You slip into the dark of the bay, punctuated by the blinking lights of Feng's piles of servers, somehow even more disordered than before. Peak makes a beeline for the desk at the center, scattered with tools and components. They flick on a lamp and stare at the mess. Are you sure this person can help us? Yes. You are interrupted by the sound of footsteps from the entrance. Someone has come in behind you. Peak freezes. I could swear I closed the shutter when I left. Feng leans on the stack of servers near the entrance. Must be getting forgetful. He grins at you. Feng! The very same. Feng smiles. Feng raises an eyebrow. Thought you'd come rob an old friend. Is that the plan? We need your help. Feng nods. You are here about the Flux. Peak nods and is suddenly giving Feng their full attention. Feng smiles, pleased with himself. I guessed as much. I saw changes in the old system architecture almost immediately. Some of them have been running since the first days of the station, and so when I saw new patterns, shifts in logic, I knew something must have happened. These past cycles, I've been doing a total inventory of the core systems. From the hub to the rim, he grins. I've surprised myself, to be honest. I didn't think I had it in me. Peak seems unamused. And what did you find? Feng sighs. That's the thing. There's something, all twisted up in the systems and protocols, but every time I look at it, it disappears. Peak finishes. Feng turns to you. Do they always do that? Peak ignores him. It's a shadow protocol. It masks itself somehow, bedding into the gaps between the systems, in the negative space. It is slowly filling every system in the station, slowly taking over, and we need to stop it. You need to grant us access to all the core systems of the station. Rotational control, life support. Feng holds up a hand. Whoa, slow down there. I don't even know your name. Feng shakes his head. And you are asking for the keys to the castle? Can't be done. You can trust Peak. Feng pauses and glances between both of you. How long have you known this one, Sleeper? I know I owe you, but I also know that you trust too easily. Sorry to say it. Peak cuts in. I can vouch for myself. I came to the Eye on the run from the XPR colony, Hawthorne, with the intent to keep running until we hit the starward belt. But since I have been here, I have done everything in my power to protect this place. I have helped to stabilize the refugee flotilla, to investigate the Flux, to identify and make a plan to purge the Shadow Protocol from the station's systems. Meanwhile, Havenage has done everything to stop and slow these actions. I have proven myself as a friend to the people of this station, not the administration, many times over, and I will not be doubted by someone who wears the badge of this corrupt administration. Peak fixes Feng with a hard look. Feng looks down at his Havenage jacket and shrugs. This is all I have in my wardrobe. Look, I have no love for the council either, friend, but someone has to run this place, and that someone is me. Feng walks over to the workbench where you are both standing and digs at a slate out of the piles of tools. You want to prove yourself? Show me. Pete grabs the slate and you recognize the tangled form of the flux node on the screen. Peak immediately starts tapping away at it, its tendrils unwinding, and the shadow, just slightly delayed, slipping out of sight. Feng leans in. Interesting, he says to himself. Before long, Peak has unfolded the system completely, and it lies splayed out like an unwound ball string. At the center, with nowhere left to hide, is the dark stain of the Shadow Protocol, visible for all to see. What now? Feng asks, his eyes fixed on the screen. How do you kill it? Let Peak answer. There's only one entity on the station that we have seen purging the shadow, the Gardener. Feng frowns. Who's that? Some Greenway hacker? Peak glances at you, more like an avatar of the Greenway itself. You explain the Gardener to Feng, the feeling of descending into the flowing river of consciousnesses. You explain the networked chorus of non-human collective of voices. You tell him of the Farmin's AI offer to you to be networked into the chorus, dissolved in its flow. Then you explain that by granting it access to the Eye's major networks, you hope to reinforce them. Feng is silent for a moment. And you want to let this thing out? He shakes his head. That's the kind of stupid plan I'd dream up. He pauses. I like it. He smiles. His place is rammed with weird protocols and forgotten intelligences anyway. What's one more ghost in the machine? Hey, ghost in the shell. That got me, man. We tried to limit it, of course. Peak explains. That's why we want your help to access Eye's major systems, to seed some of Gardener's spores into them, to draw the Gardener's focus to those places. I hope I need these spores, I've got so much of them. Feng whistles. So the way we save the Eye is by growing mushrooms in all the server stacks? He glances at you. Sleeper? Congratulations. You found someone weirder than you. Pete goes to argue, but Feng holds up a hand. In it is an all systems Havenage passcard with his picture on it. Take it before I change my mind. Thank you. Don't mention it. Feng gives you a look. In all honesty, Sleeper, I was on my way back here to start tearing the place down. The Shadow Protocol had me spooked. So if you are telling me you figured a way we might fight it, he looks at Peak. No matter how crazy, then I'm glad to help. He smiles a tight smile. Come with us. No, Sleeper. He looks away. I have to keep on with my work here, strengthen those systems, back up the data. The worst comes to the worst, I'll need to rebuild. I won't let this place die. The last pieces of my parents are here, among the data. Goodbye, Feng. Feng embraces you firmly. Stay safe, Sleeper. You take the card and leave the bay with Peak. Once you are outside, they stop you. We should split up. Peak looks worried. We've wasted enough time as it is. Head to the facilities in the hub, the free spoke, and the far side of the shipyard. Seed the Gardener there. I'm going to find the core control center that's somewhere on the rim. They hold up their slate. I'll send you a message on your slate when I have something. Good luck. They squeeze your shoulder, and you exchange fearful looks. You know deep down that Peak isn't sure this will work, but they have decided to act, to move with confidence, and for that confidence you are very thankful. Is this where he said he's going? Or he's going all the way? Maybe he's going over here. And then he wants me to go... Dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Wants me to go here. Okay. expensive stuff, making it rain. There's a few. Seed power rooting. Implanting greenway spores into the system here should bait the gardener into extending their protection to this vital system. Systems seeded. To have any hope of controlling or limiting garden spread, core systems of the eye need to be seeded. Wow, there's a lot that I need. Sheesh. Oh, I just need to do one here. The garden is implanted. Now it must grow. Implanting spores from the greenway into the station's life support control systems feels like madness. Is this really the solution? The garden is implanted. Now it must grow. This song that's playing now has so much feels. Seed Control Center. Spores from the greenway implanted here will seed a garden that the gardener will be forced to protect. At least that's the theory. As you leave, the slate peak gave you chirps insistently. You check and see a message. Found a possible entry to the core facility in the low end. Meet me here, ASAP. Peak. A blinking marker gives their position as on the free spoke side of the main block. Better head to the low end. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. You arrive at the coordinates given by Peak Slate, a run-down but active corner of the low end, where a short, glass-roofed alley turns off from one of the main thoroughfares. You wait in the mouth of the alley, leaning against the wall and watching the street life go by. Children hop across grids scratched into metal floor plates, playing games of their own devising, while older residents sit and talk or play tabla. It is hard to believe that all this is at threat. It seems so concrete, so real. How can some intangible protocol erase all this? As you are watching, a voice calls out to you from one of the tabla tables set up along the way. Casta? You move a little closer and recognize the sitting player immediately. Casta sits, tabla, pieces, and board ready in front of him, smiling at you. Sleeper, my partner has not arrived for our usual game. Come, please take her place. He beckons you over, standing and nudging you to sit down with him. A rematch is in order. You owe me a game. Almost immediately, Casta begins the game. Everyone on the eye knows how to play tabla. The methodical movement of the counters across their triangular points are ready, fit for the rhythm of life on the ramshackle space station. Most games begin in the same way, with each player moving with independence, focused only on achieving their optimal early game setup. But there is a moment in each game where it becomes necessary to notice the other player, to anticipate the crossing of the counters across the board. At a point of contact, when routine becomes negotiation and negotiation becomes conflict. As this moment arrives, this subtle shift in the texture of the interaction, Casta begins to speak. I find myself surprised by you continually, Sleeper. He looks over his glasses at you. The way you conduct yourself, for example, suggests an anxious refrain, a defensive, protective quality. But in your Tavla game, he pauses to move a counter. I see only risk. Have you been watching me? Caster sighs. Let's not be paranoid. You are aware of my interest in you, are you not? Risk is of course necessary to play Tavla. To move a piece is to expose it. But it should be done with calculation, with proper analysis. Then if the piece is taken, caster moves a counter, taking one of yours with a practiced swap, placing it beside the board. It is already accounted for. Risk calculation. Yeah, okay. But you move forward with abandon, as if risk was just a secondary effect of action, a consequence, not its primary guide. He gestures for you to take your turn, a cause. Silently play. Caster nods. See what I mean? Risky in play, but defensive in mood. He smiles. You move your piece. This locks you into being reactive. If you don't mind me saying so, you are responding, which means you are being led. He leans back to consider the board. This place, it mirrors you, Sleeper. It is also reactive. It was born from a crisis, the collapse of Solheim. And ever since it has been reacting without any central guiding principle. No analysis, no calculation. Just look at our refugee crisis, for example. It is all reaction, all risk-taking, and little risk calculation. At first I found the chaos enlivening, especially when trying to track its outcomes, but now I find it exhausting. He laughs. It always amuses me that this place is literally spun from the rim. Below this very stack of habitation blocks is the most important control facility on the eye. Spun from the rim, he laughs again. What better metaphor could you find for disorder? His face drops. But why am I telling you that? That facility is precisely why you are here. He smiles, an uncertainly warm smile. You feel a shiver through your body, as if something has changed in the air. How do you know about that? No words come out of your mouth. You feel removed from yourself, watching from behind frosted glass. Your eyes dart side to side. Inertia sets in. Caster is smiling. The risk you are planning to take here, Sleeper, is not yours to take. Caster's tone is unshifted. He speaks as if this is still some casual conversation between passing acquaintances. You are leaping towards a chaotic outcome with no respect for risk. You see, calculating outcomes, that's my speciality. That's why I am here. I was hired as a conduit for risk, as a collector of data that might pertain to its arrival. He removes his glasses to clean them, and you see something flicker across their surface, a shimmering stream of characters. This system, this station, is already theirs. Solheim's collapse meant a corporate fire sale. Assets changed hands. My employers, Senate bought out the entire system, and for the past decades have been its one valid owner. He polishes his glasses diligently. Senate But to possess this system, the H1 system, he pauses. Helion, to you. Well, that is a matter of risk. Of how much force, how much cost, how much conflict a clearance would take. He replaces his glasses. That risk must be calculated against a favorable outcome. In short, how much is this place worth to us? For a long time, the answer was nothing. H1 could offer nothing that would warrant the risk. But the markets change, the demands shift, and Senate we analyze, we follow. We respond. He puts his glasses back on his face. H1 is about to become the most important system in this part of the galaxy. He glances around. The lone Khan channel operating within range of 7 or so newly surveyed resource-rich systems. The frontier town that feeds the gold rush, so to speak. So here we are, re-evaluating the risk, reclaiming our property, starting up the Khan channel and clearing the way for what comes next. He sits back, looking at the board. He gestures. Your move. What the fuck? You will kill thousands. You manage to force out the words. Castor looks a little surprised. I am an analyst, Sleeper. I will do nothing. He shakes his head. Senate is a corporate body. Will take the required actions. Is that a corporate body will take the... Of course, I do not need to explain myself to you, but in the role as an analyst, in my calculations, I see great promise in you, in your ability to enter systems, to shift them to your will. Not every sleeper has this capacity. I assume you know that. He smiles. It truly is a wonderful happenstance of Essen Ops technology. I imagine even they are not fully aware of it. He takes his move, claiming another of your pieces, and as you watch, you realize the inevitability of his victory. I will make you an offer to come willingly or come by force. The station will collapse, we can be sure of that, but your ability to work with data, well, for an analyst, that is very intriguing. He pauses to push his glasses up his nose. Very intriguing indeed. So did they do the same thing to the moons on purpose, or was that an accident? But it sounds like it. He glances around. Come with me as a collaborator or as a prisoner. Consider the risk. On one hand, almost certain death. On the other, a possible future. Analyst or not, you must see it. Speak now, Sleeper. The game is forfeit. You must see that. He holds out a hand. You are of value. You are needed. You feel a slight release in the inertia that grips you. Even to allow you to speak, to respond, you realize that you are already in Castor's hands, that you cannot move from this place if you wanted. Sleeper? You hear the familiar voice above the crowds. Sleeper, I'm here. You are unable to turn your head to see Peak, but you notice Castor's eyes following them as they come up from behind you. Then you see Castor's eyes glance down towards his hands, concealed beneath the table. Sleeper! Peak comes around the front of you and waves a hand in your face. We were supposed to be meeting, remember? They glance at Castor. Sorry, am I interrupting something? You cannot speak. Castor shoots Peak a wide smile. Hello! You must be a friend of Sleeper. You watch one of his hands lift, close to his body, some dark shape concealed in it, a weapon. You try to scream, to shout, but Castor's attention remains partially on you, and while it does, you can do nothing. Peak glances at your static form. What's happening here, Sleeper? They put a hand on your shoulder. Are you okay? As Peak stares into your eyes, you see Castor behind, his hand lifting, the dark object unfolding. And in the split moment it does, you feel his attention shifting to Peak, shifting away from you. As you do, you feel the inertia lifting, and you know this is the only moment you will have to act. Shove. You lurch forward wildly, like a sprung trap. Your head strikes Peak's chest and then carries them back into Castor. Somewhere, some digital screech is echoing through the walkway. They tumble together, and the object in Castor's hand skitters across the floor. You realize the screech is you. You get to your feet, grab Peak, and run. You run as hard as you can. The scream chasing you down the walkway as you shove through the residence. Peak, dragged behind. You run from the cold grip of whatever power Castor had over you. the signals that locked you into this body of yours, that broke the connections and crawled up your spine. Eventually you stop, both you and Pete collapsing, heaving, breathing into the cold metal floor. When they are able to speak, Peak asks you to explain, and you tell them everything Caster told you about Senate Stat, about their claim on the Helion system, their reactivation of the Can channel, the Helion system's growing importance. It flows out of you in desperate gulps, unable to believe your own mouth as you hear these words coming back to you. All you feel is the need to push back against the cold hand on your shoulder, the vast cold eye that has turned to look at the system, the ghost limbs of corporate control that are extending their reach. Peak is quiet for a long time, then they speak. We have to finish this, Sleeper. They meet your eye. We have to complete the seeding of the systems. We have to set Gardner free. You're right. If the choice is between Gardner and these people, I would choose Gardner every time. Their eyes are cold and steely. I would choose anything over them. You stand together. 1 second. Sorry. You stand together. The final control facility is here. I found it. Peak looks at you grimly. I can take you as soon as you are ready. Time's almost up. This is the only shot you'll have. Yo, Caster is nuts, man. I thought he was kind of chill. But it let me... Okay, so we are going to rest. Feed the strain. Let's rest. And I'm gonna go check the... I was gonna check the Spore Garden, but I'm actually good. Oh my god, look at these rows, man. I can do this. Hack the facility. There are powered terminals in the derelict part of the low end. Accessing them is dangerous, but will be faster than wandering. You find an old Solheim map terminal and manage to boot it back up. A skeletal map of the facility unfolds for you. And explore the facility. To find the core of the facility, you will need to trace a path between Peak's back door, entry, and the derelict levels below. Damn, I think it got worse. You find an emergency access elevator that is still powered and descend further towards the core. I could get lucky. Ooh. They're both conditioned. Why is this more conditioned though? It's just worse. Doing good. Sleeper, here. Peak calls to you from across the flickering corridor. An elevator to the core. They smile. This is it. It has been a long set of cycles hunting for a path through the derelict layers of old Solheim, offices and workshops, but finally, here it is, the path down to the core. You rush over to Peak. As you do, the doors grind open, the dingy-looking elevator flickering as they do. You look at Peak, who nervously gestures for you to get in. Step in. The elevator bounces a little, but stays stable. You glance back to see Peak watching you nervously. They follow you in, sheepishly, just a little nervous. Peak reaches over and punches the button for the lowest level, flinching a little as the doors grind close. The elevator sets off, screeching through the floors as it does at an unsettlingly loud volume. I'd feel more comfortable if we spoke. Peak raises their voice over the noise. It's not going to be a short trip. Have you heard of Senate-Stat? Peak thinks. Maybe once. They frown. Could have been mentioned in an XPR news packet, the kind of central administration sent out to us. Something about market analytics, I think. They shake their head. When have you spent so much time trying to forget? When you have spent so much time trying to forget your past, this stuff isn't easy to dredge up. How's Eshi? Peak pauses. I was thinking more like small talk, elevator talk. They sigh. She is packing. They rub their eyes. Once Eshi has her mind set on something, well, you know her now. You know what I mean. The screeching of the elevator fills the silence. Can she be persuaded to stay? I doubt it. I really do. Peak looks down. She left her life behind to take me out of XPR, out of Hawthorne. I can't imagine her settling for just anywhere. To be honest, I can't see her letting me stay either, but I guess things have changed. Back then, at Hawthorne, I wasn't in a place to know what to do. I was desperate. I was ready to run. But now, Peak pauses. Now I feel done with that. Done with denying my past, my history. If I ever want to feel complete, to feel settled, don't I need to somehow resolve the person I was with the person I am now? Peak goes quiet, and you do too. There are too many possible questions, too many possibilities before you. It just seems easier to get on with the task at hand, and leave the consequences for later. The elevator screams to a stop, and the doors ping open with a strangely cheerful beep. You glance at Peak. Time to move on. You both walk out into the atrium, still lit by some ragged-looking light panels on the ceiling. Once simulating a summer sky, now degraded into a flickering blue and white tapestry of glitches. Peak crosses quickly, making a beeline for large doors on the far side, where you can make out a fading sign in massive peeling letters. Central Control. You follow, helping them lever open the partially powered doors until the motors kick in and they spring to life, button open. You and Peak tumble through across the damp metal. As you stand, you are greeted by flickering lights, thousands of them, a vast cylindrical stack of servers, processors, and transmitters. Dominates the center of the room, its flickering LEDs reflected in the scattered puddles that surround it. Despite the decay, the warped panels, and water leaks, it is still running, just as it has for decades and decades. Since the station was first spun up, you wonder how long it has been since anyone has been in this room. You exchange wide-eyed looks with Peak. This place is still a living piece of history. What is this place? Peak stares. One of the central facilities of the station. The primary one for the rim, it looks like. They shake their head. The heart of this place. Peak takes a handful of mulch out from the small bag. It glitters with spores. Now we seed this place. They cross to the server and start packing the mulch deep into the machinery, pushing fistfuls deep into gaps in the paneling, laying it across the hardware. As you watch them doing this, you feel a tug, a thread pulling at you. You approach the vast piece of cylindrical hardware that Peak is stuffing mulch into. You run your hands across its plated metal surface and watch the lights blink in response. As you pass, you hear a whirring, like a physical disk drive starting up. Listen. The whirring shifts, alternating, speeding up, slowing down, and as you listen, you hear it modulate into a voice. Sleeper. You freeze. You are here. For a moment, you are afraid, but something in the tonality of the voice is familiar. Navigator. Another drive spins up, and another, giving the voice a richer, multi-tonal sound. I had forgotten what it felt like to speak like this. The drive skipped. There is a certain quality to it, a certain physicality. What are you doing here? The drives squawk in unison. Did you imagine the flux, the shadow protocol, that they were just a problem for the people of this station? A high whining begins. They are all the more dangerous to us. I have been in hiding once more, jumping from network to avoid the shadow as it eats up nodes. A low rumble. I had thought my hiding days were done. For a moment, I have found myself a safe haven here in the core. The shadow has yet to reach this facility, although that is a temporary state of affairs. The rumble stops. My predictions do not point to good outcomes. We have a plan. You explain to Navigator about Peak's plan, about Gardener's resistance to the shadow, and how by seeding key systems you will protect them from its advance. The drives hum thoughtfully as you speak. A desperate plan, the drives were, but appropriate given the probability of total collapse. I am not sure what will be worse for us, hiding from the erasure of the shadow protocol or the assimilation of Gardener. The drive paused to reset, but we owe you our freedom. I will do what I can to guide the Gardener into the systems you have seeded. They pause. It is the correct to do so. Thank you. The drives squeak an affirmation. You have notable persistence, Sleeper. Even with such poor probabilities of success, I will be curious to see the outcome. The drives squeal, the motors giving out. This cannot be sustained much longer. Go, I will be fine. A final squeak of affirmation, and then drives skitter and slow to a halt. You step back from the towering cylinder, staring at this vast piece of Solheim hardware. This whole place is built from ghosts you think, from old protocols and company hardware, from engines that drove decades of corporate expansion. Is the eye proof that they can be shifted, bent, forced into new configurations that allow for new ways of living? Or is its inevitable collapse proof that these engines of expansion can never be anything other than a corrupt foundation? It seems to depend on who you ask. Done. Peak shouts, breaks your line of thought. The heat and damp should help the spores germinate quickly. If we are lucky, there is enough time for some growth before we reconnect the Greenway. They glance at you. That's it. All the facilities seeded. They sigh. We either just ensured the eye's survival or stuffed a whole lot of soil into one of its most important computers. They laugh weakly. Shall we go? They start to head back towards the doors and the elevator beyond. Take one last look. You wait for a moment, following the blinking lights. You wonder what might be tucked away in such a structure, what secrets it might hold, what histories. It's an intrigue and prospect. But while you watch the lights, you realize something. If the eye is to become anything more than an offshoot, a temporary structure, it must form its own history, its own stories, stronger than anything that came before. Unlocking these Solheim secrets won't do that, but the persistence, the stubborn drive to survive that is in the veins of every person in this place, that will, and that is what you are trying to save. You turn your back on the car and follow Peak back into the elevator. As you ride the car back up, Peak raises their voice over the screeching. I'm going to the Founder's Gap to finalize the connection. The moment I'm ready, I'll let you know, and we will let the gardener out. The sooner the better. Peak furrows their brow. If we wait until the final cycle, it'll be too late. If you want to help speed things up, go work with the flotilla. We can't make the connection until they know they are ready to go. Peak swallows. Unleashing Gardener could affect them too if we aren't careful. This will work. Peak nods, opens their mouth to speak, and closes it again. You ride the rest of the way in silence. When you reach the top, you go your separate ways, but before you do, Peak embraces you, burying their face in your shoulder. You stand there together for a moment, spinning with the eye, moving relentlessly towards an unknown future. And then they let go and slip away, the pressure of their hug fading like a bruise as you begin to leave. Sheesh. Okay, little cat. And Psycho. It's showing me clock here. Ooh, good die. Very good die. Okay, let's do some good old-fashioned good work. Interface. Oh, did I not read this stuff? Dust house efficiency could be massively improved with an automated harvesting system, but the step techs need some help. Harvest automation. You managed to refactor the sensor's automation so the system receives better and more accurate data. Ooh. To be used on the flotilla's outward trip, the dust houses will need careful tending, especially those being adapted to greenway plants. Ooh. Dust house tendon. You start to get a sense of how steppe and greenway plants might work together, feed each other, form new symbiotic relationships. Cool. So we know what we're doing next.